In this video, I'm not gonna get into what country's lasagna is better, because there is plenty of space in my life for good tasting lasagnas. So instead of the traditional Italian lasagna, I will show you a Portuguese version that will remind you of the original lasagna, but with all those Portuguese flavors that you know and love. It can only be a cod lasagna. Let's cook. I'll start by cooking my salted cod. You can use any white fish for this dish, but warning, with salted cod, everything is better. In a pot with water and some milk, I'll add the aromatics, onion, garlic and bay leaf. You can leave the skin on for the onion and garlic, that will increase the flavor. And when the water starts to boil, I'll add the cod, wait for it to start boiling again, turn the heat off and wait 10 minutes before removing the cod. This will gently cook the cod, giving it a light flavoring. I'm not using salt here, due to the cod already has some salt in it. After the 10 minutes, remove the cod and let it cool down before removing all bones and skin from it. And while we wait, let's start our prep. I'll slice the peppers, the onions, the garlic and the chili to process into small pieces. You can use the knife to small dice everything, but this way it's just easier and faster. I will mince the chorizo too, but I want to do it separately, because I'm going to use it as a texture bringer, but I'll set it aside for now. In a pot with some olive oil in medium heat, I'll add my onion mix in, fry for a couple of minutes, adding a pinch of salt to it, and when everything is cooked, add the fish stock and let it simmer until all the liquid is gone. Why am I doing this in stages if I am mixing it all together in the sauce? This will individually create layers of different flavor that, if all done in one pot, they will all meld in together and will not be as good. Using a smaller pan, I'll add the chorizo and fry in medium heat. I'll add a little bit of panko and fry until the panko is nice and brown. When done, just set it aside. Time to clean our cod. Carefully remove all skin and bones from the fish. Be extra thorough with it to avoid any bones in our final dish. An easy process, you just have to get your hands in it. When done, time to move to our main sauce, our bechamel sauce. Add the butter in a pot in low heat and let it melt. Add the bay leaf, add the tomato paste and sugar and cook for a minute. And now add garlic paste, garlic powder and onion powder. When everything is integrated, I'll add our onion mix with a pinch of salt and let everything cook together for a couple of minutes on low to medium heat. When done, remove the bay leaves from the pot and I'll add the flour and stir constantly until the flour is cooked. I want a thick bechamel here, so keep that in mind adding the liquid. I will use a mix of the liquid we cooked the cod on and fish sauce to build this bechamel. I will start adding fish stock and mix and switch between both fish stock and the liquid until I reach the consistency I want. This looks perfect to me. I will taste for seasoning and add some salt, and to finish I will add some mozzarella cheese to create an extra gooey texture for the sauce. I add the cod into the sauce, carefully mixing it, and now time to assemble. I am using egg lasagna sheets store-bought here. To assemble, I'll add some of the mix in the bottom, cover with sheets of lasagna, some cheese, covering with lasagna sheets. The next layer will be our texture bringer, the panko and chorizo mix. Cover with lasagna and place the rest of the cod in. To finish it off, top with some lasagna sheets, drizzle with a little olive oil, and cover with a mix of mozzarella and parmesan cheese until all you can see is cheese. Looks perfect. Preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius or 400 Fahrenheit and cook for 30 to 40 minutes or until the top is golden brown. Depending on your oven, you might need to turn it halfway to ensure even browning. When ready, take it from the oven and enjoy the most unconventional lasagna you have ever seen. But it will make you crave more on every bite. Serve to a plate, and only one more thing to do. Let's taste. Time to taste. Wow, it's incredible. I know it's fish, but it has such a meaty flavor to it. Cod is incredible, and the sauce, wow. With the mix that I put in, it just takes it to a complete other level. But what takes it to the next level is that layer of chorizo and panko that we fried. Just give it that extra crunch while we eat it. It's just amazing. Amazing. And I don't know if I said it, amazing. It's perfect, and it works well with cod, because cod is such a versatile ingredient that can use with pretty much anything you want. And to prove that point, check this video here when you have another beautiful cod dish that will make you happy. I will see you there. Bye.